All right, horizontal translation. Now, the graph of f of x plus a can be obtained from the graph of f of x by shifting f of x a units to the left if a is greater than 0, that is if a is positive, and shifting f of x a units to the right if a is less than 0, that is if a is negative. Now the point xy on f of x becomes x plus a y. So that is um, any point on f of x, that is the shape before it is what translated, becomes the point x plus a, that's the x coordinate, y, which is the y coordinate. All right, after the translation. All right, let's have a look at example. Let's have a look at example 40. Example 40 says, the graph of f of x is shown below. Sketch the graph of f of x minus 2, showing each point on the new graph. All right, first of all, let's identify some points on this graph. Um, the y-intercept is 0, 2, which is here. So again, the y-intercept is 0, 2, which is here. All right. The x-intercepts are minus 2 here and 2 here. All right. So let us see now, if we're going to sketch the graph, this is the graph of f of x, and we need to sketch the graph of f of x minus 2. This means I need to move this graph. This means I'm going to translate this graph 2 units to the right. So the x coordinate, so the y-intercept, which is 0, 2, is going to become 2, 2. So in this instance, the x coordinate, you're going to increase it by 2, and the y coordinate remains the same. Minus 2, 0 is going to become 0, 0, and 2, 0 is going to become 4, 0. So literally, I'm moving this entire shape 2 units to the right. All right, so one point is going to end up here. All right, that's that point at the top. One point is going to end up here. One point is going to end up here. All right, so we probably should have something looking like this. So all right, let's see if we can get that left side, right side a little neater. So if the black lines are the curve represented by the black line is f of x, the curve represented by the blue line is f of x minus 2. So to get the graph of f of x minus 2 from f of x, I'm going to shift the graph f of x 2 units to the right. All right. How do we do that? We identify some points on f of x, and then increase the x coordinate by 2, and then we sketch our curve. Let's have a look at a second example. All right, so we won't actually. This says horizontal stretch. The graph of y is equal to g of a plus x may be obtained from the graph of y is equal to g of x by stretching the graph of y is equal to g of x parallel to the x-axis by a factor of 1 over a. Now, any point f of x, any point xy on g of x maps onto 1 over ax, y on what? G of a plus x. All right, so it's a mouthful. Let's actually just see it in action. All right. All right, so example 41 says, we're to sketch the graph of the function, sketch the graph of f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3, and sketch the graph of f of 2x. All right, so we need to sketch the graph of f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3. So let's start by identifying the y-intercept. Remember, once a function is in this form, the number at the end is the y-intercept. So 0 minus 3 is the y-intercept. So this graph is going to cut the y-axis at 0 minus 3. It's going to cut the y-axis at minus 3. Let us determine the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are is where the graph cuts the x-axis. To find the x-intercepts, I must solve the equation x squared plus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. All right. When I solve this equation, I'm going to get the roots of the function, and the roots of the function are the values of x for which f of x is equal to 0. Now, the roots of the function are the x-intercepts. All right, if I factorize this, I'm going to have x here, and this is equal to 0, x here. All right, so when I multiply x by x, I'm going to get x squared. I'm going to have 3 here and 1 here. When I multiply 1 by 3, I'm going to get 3. One of them must be negative because it's minus 3. Now, since the 2x is positive, it's the 3 that's going to be positive and the 1 that's going to be negative. Therefore, x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to 1 and x is equal to minus 3 are my x-intercepts. Next, I need to determine the turning points. To determine the turning points, I need to get the function f of x in this format, a into x plus h squared plus k. And once it is in this format, minus hk would be the turning point. Now, we could find what h and k is using a formula. H is equal to b over 2a, and k is equal to 4ac minus b squared over 4a. A is the number in front of x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c is the constant term. It doesn't have any x. So h becomes it becomes 2 over 2 times a, which is 1. K is equal to 4 times 1 times minus 3, which is c, minus 2 squared, all over 4 times 1. This is 2 over 2. So h is equal to 1. K is equal to 4 times 1 is 4 times minus 3 is minus 12. Minus 2 squared is minus 4, all over 4. This is minus 16 over 4. So k is equal to minus 4. So minus hk, so it's minus 1 minus 4. That is the minimum turning point, min TP, minimum turning point. All right, now with all that information, now I'm ready to plot my to put in some points so that I can sketch my graph. All right, already know that the y-intercept here is 0, -3, so that's that point here. Um, the intercepts are 1 and -3. Those are the x-intercepts, and the turning point is -1, -4. All right, so point might end up here. Let us see what happens if x is 4. If x is 4, we get what 4 square plus if x is 2, we get what 2 square, which is 4 plus 4 is 8 minus 3 is 5. So 2, 5 here and here are another 2 points on the graph. So with this information, I can sketch my graph. All right, that's one half of my curve. Let's sketch the other half of the curve. All right, so that's the next half of the curve. Not exactly perfect, but we'll have to do for now. So this is the graph of f of x is equal to this is what x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, so the next thing we're asked to do is that we're asked to sketch a graph of f of x is equal to of f of 2x. And these are points that we have. My intercepts were 0, -3, -3, 0, and 1, 0. And the next point for my graph was the turning point, which is -1, -4. Now this point is going to become it's going to remain it's going to remain 0 -3 because it's a half of 0. The -3. This becomes -3 over 2, 0. This becomes a half, 0. And this becomes minus a half, -4. So those would be my new points. So let's plot these points and then we can sketch our curve. All right, so this point is going to come in here to -1.5, 0 -3 is going to remain, so that one is going to remain, -1.5, 0. So this point moves and come here. Half 0, that point moves and come here. And the next point is the turning point moves to what -1/2, -4, which is here. All right. So we should have enough now to sketch our graph. All right. Now let's do our best. All right, and this is the graph of f of x, f of 2x. All right, that would be the graph of f of 2x. And what we'd have to do, this is a stretch of a scale factor half. All right, the x coordinates, you're going to divide them by 2, and the y coordinates remains the same.